New this morning, and only on 2, a potentially dangerous incident involving a FedEx cargo jet over Tulsa. It was hit with a green laser, its pilot was, as it was taking off from Tulsa International Airport.
2 Works for You reporter Micah Hatfield is live at Tulsa International to explain why it's so dangerous. Micah.
Good morning, Scott and Lisa. Luckily, no one aboard the FedEx plane was injured, and they were able to continue on their trip. Pilots reported that someone shined a green laser light at the plane from right below them. They say it happened about 3 minutes after their takeoff, around 10:20 last night.
I think it was green. It was coming from the east of us as we made the turn to 020. Just the airplane rolled into the full bank to go 020. That's when we got one shot.
FedEx 1355, have you any injuries?
No, sir.
These green lasers are much more powerful than the red ones we're used to seeing. A pilot can become temporarily blinded by the light, making it very challenging for them to see what they're doing. It can even cause permanent eye damage. Not to mention, if all of the pilots are flash blinded by the laser, it could bring down the entire plane. More than 6,700 incidents were reported to the FAA in 2017 of lasers being shined at planes. It can land someone in jail for up to 5 years and a $250,000 fine if they're caught. Live at the airport, Micah Hatfield, 2 Works for You.
We know you will. Now to breaking news that we've been following overnight. Here's what we know. The shooting happened at Louis' restaurant on Lake Hefner in Oklahoma City at 6:30 yesterday evening. Police say the shooter started firing randomly at people. He shot 2 people, a mother and daughter. 2 others were not shot but had other injuries. A civilian later shot and killed the suspect, who was the only person who died.
They were coming out and they was running. They said, please, please tell somebody, call 911, call 911. And he was bleeding in the mouth. And I'm like, why are you bleeding? And he says, they're shooting, they're shooting.
Witnesses described the chaotic scene moments after hearing the shots coming from Louis' restaurant. Investigators have yet to identify the suspect. This morning, they're working to learn what was the motive behind the shooting and were anywhere red flags missed. 2 Works for You reporter Ashley Holt was over there overnight, talking to people and working to find out exactly what happened.
About 100 people were just trying to enjoy dinner on the other side of this bridge when a man had other plans. Oklahoma City police say he walked inside, fired an unknown amount of shots, and walked out. When he made it to the parking lot, a man with a gun shot him to his death. Police reported 4 people other than the shooter were injured. A mother and daughter headed to a birthday party at the restaurant were shot. Those people in or nearby the restaurant when shots went off were grateful to the man that possibly saved many of their lives.
I would say is that we're just glad that it was put an end to a dangerous situation. We do not know what this individual was going to do after he left this establishment. Was he going to go someplace else and start shooting people? We do not know.
At this time, police don't believe it was an act of terrorism, but completely random. From Oklahoma City, Ashley Holt, 2 Works for You.
In the last few hours, the mother who was shot has posted a public message on Facebook. Natalie Will is her name, and she's asking for prayers this morning for her 12-year-old daughter, Naya, and the other people that were hurt. Naya underwent surgery overnight. The family says she was shot in the tailbone, but the bullet traveled to her stomach. And this morning, the Red Cross is doing what they can to help. This is a photo from the group's Twitter page. Volunteers handed out hamburgers, snacks, and drinks to first responders on the scene. They're also providing help to the victims and witnesses.
We also have a mental health counselor on scene for anybody that, needs to speak to someone to talk through the situation.
Governor Fallin has declared a state of emergency for 12 Oklahoma counties after tornadoes tore through parts of Green Country over this past weekend. Those counties include Tulsa, Muskogee, Cherokee, and Sequoia. It allows state agencies to make emergency purchases for repairs, and it also helps those impacted by the storm who might need some federal assistance. Apply for that. The Cherokee Nation's also declaring a state of emergency of its own after those tornadoes.
More than 800 of its citizens were affected. 2 Works for You reporter Tony Russell went to one community to see how the tribe is working to help clean up and get people back on their feet.
I think right here what's about the center of it. And I live right at the edge.
From the communities around Lake Tenkiller, the marinas, cabins, and mobile homes, Friday night's tornado was felt all over eastern Oklahoma. Every community the tornado went through was within the Cherokee Nation. The tribe says 822 of its citizens affected by the December storm.
There's my little shop right there.
In the Tailholt community, hot meals are just the beginning.
It's good. It's all good. We had so much help, and May, she cooked breakfast 3 o'clock that morning. Yeah. And we come down and ate breakfast.
Kay McManus, riding out the storm in her home, tells me crews practically had to chainsaw them out of their home after trees fell and damaged their porch.
At our age, we can't get out and cut these logs and trees, and so, you know, it's appreciated, everything they do for us. Them and everybody else, our neighbors and people that's not even from here come in and work.
The Cherokee Nation has routinely filed with the state of Oklahoma during similar natural disasters, but after Friday's extensive damage, the tribe filed its own declaration.
Everything's working really well, and we hope that the president will sign this disaster order, and we can help folks sooner than later.
And the Cherokee Nation's disaster declaration will go right to President Trump's desk for his consideration. If you're a member of the Cherokee Nation affected by this weekend's tornado and you still need some disaster assistance, you can call the tribe directly. We have that number inside this story at KJRH.com. Reporting in the Tailholt community, Tony Russell, 2 Works for You.
Jennifer, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You live in California now.
Yes.
How often do you get to come back to Oklahoma, Claremore specifically?
I come back about 3 or 4 times a year. I come back for all the main events that we have, the fly-in in August, Will Rogers' birthday events in November, and a board meeting in between here and there.
What's it mean to come back to such a beautiful memorial and see so many people still coming in and remembering your great-grandfather?
It surprises me. I've been involved in the family things since 1991, and it seems like every year we have more and more attending. So it makes me very proud. I'm excited that people want to learn and continue to come visit.
He was a lot of things, author, reporter, movie star, radio star, adventurer, cowboy. He always skewered the pompous and the self-important, but he did it in a kind way. Gentle humor, got to the point, was very succinct, but did it in a kind way. But he was yet so involved in American politics and current events and kept the American public up on those kinds of things. What would your great-grandfather think of where we are today with our public discourse? Yes. Have you ever stopped to think about that?
That's the #1 question I'm asked, believe it or not. And I don't know. I used to have an opinion. I think he would be very disappointed in Americans, that we have gotten to a point that we're so divided, regardless of your political, opinion. You know, he was friends with everybody. He was friends with Democrats, Republicans. He would poke fun at the other party, but he was best friends with them. And he could do it in a way that was respectful. And nowadays, everything is so politically correct, he couldn't get away with anything, you know. However, you know, his quotes and his sayings are just as relevant today as they were back then. So I think that he would be, I think he'd be disappointed in our actions and in the way that we are as just Americans today.
He'd be discouraged.
I think so. I really do.
That's hard to hear, you know, that Will Rogers would be discouraged, because you think of Will Rogers as always on the sunny side of life.
Right. Well, maybe we need somebody like him to bring us all back together.
What would it take for somebody? Would Will Rogers be able to be the megastar that he is today with social media and all of that?
Right.
How would he handle that world today, do you think?
I don't know. I also ask that question often too. Who in your lifetime would you say is comparable? And there is nobody. You know, some people say Bob Hope was, but Bob Hope didn't write his own lines. You know, Jay Leno didn't write his own lines. I mean, Will Rogers wrote his own scripts, and he made his own humor. He didn't have somebody putting it in front of him, and that comes from a pretty special inner strength, I guess is the right way to say it. But there's not very many people out there that you could pick and choose and maybe build him, but I just don't know that there will ever be anybody quite like him. I don't think there ever will be. I mean,
Claremore celebrates him this weekend. Yeah. There's a parade. There's the big birthday bash.
Yes.
What can people expect if they come here to the memorial and come to Claremore?
We just really want to encourage everybody to get together, celebrate Will's birthday, remember who he was, come up to the museum and visit the museum, learn a little bit more about him. I am so surprised how many people I meet in Claremore that have never been here. And they go, oh, well, we take prom pictures there, or, you know, we took our wedding photos on the hill, our kids sled down it in the winter, but they've never been inside. So I encourage people to come out and learn a little bit more. I'll be here all weekend. Come say hi.
All the more reason to come to the Will Rogers Memorial this weekend. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Oklahoma to take its rightful place as a top 10 state.
This morning, Oklahoma has a new governor-elect. Kevin Stitt tells us his plans for when he gets into office.
It was not the governor candidate that the Oklahoma Education Association hoped for, but I'll tell you what they're saying this morning after Governor-elect Kevin Stitt's victory.
And Oklahomans decide 5 state questions, the 2 nail-biters that came down to just a few thousand votes.
2 Works for You starts right now.
Traffic will start.
There you go.
Well, let's get into our big coverage on Decision 2018. And this morning, Oklahoma has a new governor-elect.
Political newcomer and Jinx businessman Kevin Stitt will become the state's 28th governor. Let's take a look at the unofficial results. Stitt defeated Democrat and former state attorney general Drew Edmondson by 12 percentage points, much larger margin than many polls had predicted. Just 2 days ago, the race was considered a toss-up.
2 Works for You anchor Aaron Conrad begins our team coverage. Caught up with Stitt at the Republican Watch Party in Oklahoma City.
A big celebration here in Oklahoma City after Stitt made his victory speech, talking a lot about pushing Oklahoma to a top 10 state under his administration, talking a lot about education, economy, and infrastructure. A big crowd cheering Stitt's message to his supporters, touting his role as an outsider.
It's going to require all of us coming together to work together. Democrats, Republicans, rural and urban, to be united around a common vision. And that vision is to always make the hard decision that's right for the next generation and not the next election.
Stitt thanking, of course, his 6 children, his wife, and his team from Gateway Mortgage, the Tulsa company he started. And at the very end of the speech, Stitt rallying supporters with his slogan, Oklahoma's turnaround starts right now. In Oklahoma City, Aaron Conrad, 2 Works for You.
Now, Democrat Drew Edmondson addressed a room full of supporters last night where he conceded the race to Kevin Stitt. We'll hear from Edmondson in the next half hour on his message for the 500,000 Oklahomans who voted for him.
One of the driving factors of Decision 2018 has been education. Teachers joined forces across Oklahoma to campaign for the candidates that they thought would best represent them.
2 Works for You reporter Micah Hatfield is live with what Governor-elect Stitt said about his education plan. Micah, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Scott and Lisa. There's already been talk among some teachers to protest on Governor-elect Kevin Stitt's first day at the Capitol. You know, education has been a hot issue ever since the nearly 2-week teacher walkout in April. The Oklahoma Education Association publicly endorsed Drew Edmondson throughout the race. Even still, Governor-elect Stitt has said he wants to make education in Oklahoma top 10 in the country, and that's not an impossible feat.
And in the Stitt administration, we will value the teaching profession and work towards innovative solutions that are student-centered and ensure stability and core funding in the needs in our every single classroom.
The teachers plan to hold him to that. After his win Tuesday night, the OEA issued a statement saying in part, they looked forward to working with him to make his campaign promise a reality. Plus, with several teachers now in legislative offices, the OEA says he'll have a strong group of teachers to help him keep students at the center of their minds. Live in Tulsa, Micah Hatfield, 2 Works for You.
Now, Stitt's opponents often compared him to outgoing Governor Mary Fallin. Fallin had encouraging words to say about last night's Republican victory.
Well, I am very excited for Governor-elect Kevin Stitt. Congratulations to him. It's a big night for the Republican Party.
Outgoing governor said one of the challenges for the next governor is keeping the state's economy strong.
Tulsa businessman Matt Pinnell will now succeed Todd Lamb, that is, as Oklahoma's lieutenant governor. Pinnell was the chairman of the Oklahoma Republican Party. He defeated Democrat Anastasia Pittman and independent Ivan Holmes with 62% of the vote. 2 Works for You reporter Megan Allison shows us the united message at the top of the Republican ticket.
The message from both Pinnell and Stitt is to make Oklahoma a top 10 state. The lieutenant governor-elect says after driving through all 77 counties, people made it clear that they're looking for change. The Tulsa business owner says as he drove across the state, people told him they were frustrated with everything from road conditions to education. Republicans from every office spoke with enthusiasm of this team at the watch party, saying now Oklahoma will move in a new direction. The goal, attracting more business to the state to improve core services.
What are some best practices around the country that we could be doing right here in Oklahoma from a government efficiency perspective, and then moving the state? Prioritizing core services, though, from an education, healthcare, and infrastructure is something that we've got to do.
Pinnell says as lieutenant governor, he'll act as mediator for the Senate, but his biggest focus will be tourism. It's Oklahoma's 3rd largest industry, and the Republican will also stay in Tulsa, acting as eyes and ears for the governor. This is the first time that someone from Northeast Oklahoma will take the lieutenant governor role, and Pinnell says he's excited to represent Green Country. Reporting in Oklahoma City, Megan Allison, 2 Works for You.
Now, despite losing the lieutenant governor's race, Democrat Anastasia Pittman's role in state government will continue. She's a state senator from Oklahoma City and tells our Laureen Callender what her future plans are.
Well, it's not the outcome Pittman and her supporters hoped for, but she says confidently she's not going anywhere. Pittman conceded from the race about 2 hours after the polls closed. She was defeated by Republican Matt Pinnell, but she says she's too young to retire and too passionate in improving Oklahoma to leave state government.
We've got a lot of work to do in Oklahoma, and so I'm excited to bring some institutional knowledge to the table.
Pittman tells us she's going to take a break and spend some time with her family now that the race is over, but some may see her inside a classroom in the future. Reporting in Oklahoma City, Laureen Callender, 2 Works for You.